Hello, welcome to the third video lecture of Elements of Writing, Unit 4, Elements of Writing of Academic and Professional Success. We have already discussed 6 rhetorical strategies that have been commonly used for writing academic essays. So the seventh one is definition. So I'm sure that you might be familiar with the term definition. A definition is a way of explaining a word or a phrase or an object, idea, concept, person, place, or phenomenon, etc. All these things can be, explained in order to get its definition. So a definition can be written for a familiar word or a new coinage or an abstract concept or a debatable term. All these things can have definitions. Okay. For example, a familiar word like virus can be defined, or we can define COVID, which was not much familiar before, but which is familiar nowadays. And maybe a new coinage like uh, new coinage means new words that are formed out of combining two different words. For example, an existing coinage is a tissue culture. It's not a new coinage, but a already existing coinage. So these kind of things can be defined and detailed as an essay in this particular mode. So words already defined can have newer definition in the course of time as well. Okay, there are words which are already having definitions, but they can have newer definition according to the circumstances, according to the changed circumstances. So there are multiple approaches to define your selected item. There are predominantly 4 methods of defining things. One method is by analysis. So compare the object to something similar and show differences. That's one method of defining an object. Compare it to something similar and show how it is similar and different. And another method is by function, what it does and how it works, what this particular object does and how does it work. And another method is by structure, how it is organized, what are the structural features of the object you are defining. And last one, by opposite definition, explain what the term is not. That's somewhat philosophical as well. So for example, what is man, what is man? It's someone who is not a woman, like that, opposite of something. And the things that have to be kept in mind while doing while attempting a definition, writing of a definition kind of essay are as follows. So you need to understand the audience and maintain detached objective tone for a better definition writing. So always, while doing an academic writing, we should always keep the audience in mind, and we should also use an objective method or objective tone while writing the essay. We need to start with the dictionary definitions. We know that almost all the words and concepts have definitions available in dictionaries or online or in the internet. So we need to start from that. After that, we have to move on to our own definition. So for example, we have to start like this: Oxford uh, Advanced Learners Dictionary define this particular term like this, and you have to give the definition given in the dictionary. After that, you have to come up with your own definition. Okay, so background information to the word and etymological roots of the word could be sought. Okay, background information to the word should be given. Similarly, etymological roots of the word. Etymological root means how the word or how the meaning of the word is emerged or was emerged in the earlier time. What are the words that combine to formulate this particular new word, like that? We should focus on those kind of things. Okay, maybe those words came from Latin or Greek, and what were the meaning in Latin or Greek, like that, and how it became a new English term or English word, etc., should be sought out. So that is what we understand by the term etymology or etymological roots. Okay, and also you have to give definition appropriate to the discipline. For example, culture. For example, culture in social science or humanities or in cultural studies means uh, something related to our social life, right? Whereas culture in agriculture or in biology, like agriculture, tissue culture, it means something entirely different. So you need to give definition according to the discipline to which you belong, and you need to provide the composition of words. Example, the term post-colonial is composed by two words, post and colonial. So these kind of things should be mentioned while writing a definition essay. Next one is process analysis. Okay, process analysis means you have to write down how certain things work. This kind of writing is known as process analysis. So a process analysis may be for explaining how something happens or how something works. So there are two types of process analysis. If a writing explains how something happens or how something works, it is known as informational process analysis. Okay, how something works or how something happens, it is known as informational process analysis. And if the essay explains how to do something, which is known as directional process analysis. Okay, what are the differences between these two things? Or there are, certain examples are given for informational process analysis and directional process analysis. Informational, some examples for informational process analysis are how volcanoes erupt, how a computer works, how oil is refined, how earthquakes happen, how snakes reproduce, how airplanes fly, how bees produce honey, how car engine works. Okay, these, if you listen carefully to these examples, you can understand that these are certain informations about certain processes. Okay, through these examples we will get informations or knowledge about how something is happening or how something happens. Whereas in the directional process analysis, you will find user manual for gadgets, for example, mobile phone, laptop, etc. User manuals, then cookbooks, handbooks, how to assemble a computer, how to repair a watch, how to survive an earthquake, how to write an essay. All these topics actually gives us certain directions to do something in a particular way. Okay, so these are known as directional process analysis. Directional means nirdesham. Okay, so directional process analysis. So usually most important transitional phrases often used in this kind of essays or writings are additionally, after, afterwards, at the same time, before, concurrently, crucially, during, finally, following this, for the final step, for the first step, for the second step, furthermore, initially, most importantly, etc. etc. Okay. uh, 2 years back there was a question in the university exam paper. It was like how to prepare tea. This was the question. It was a paragraph question which they were supposed to write for 5 marks. The students were supposed to write it for 5 marks, but students didn't get an idea what, what this question is about. Okay, how to prepare tea. This was the question. ചായ എങ്ങനെ ഉണ്ടാക്കാം എന്നുള്ളത്. So actually that question falls under this particular category, process analysis, how to prepare tea. Okay, so that actually comes under directional process analysis. Okay, ചായ ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്നത് എങ്ങനെയാണ് എന്ന് നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞു കൊടുക്കണം അവിടെ വേണ്ടത്. So that comes under directional process analysis. So if you get this time, if you get a question like how to prepare biryani, you don't have to wonder to which category this come under. Okay, you need to be well aware of that. Next one, classification and division. Classification and division, this is another important category that comes under rhetorical strategies. The general purpose of classification and division writing is to break broad subjects into smaller parts. For example, in academic writing, a classification or division essay analyzes people, things, or ideas, categorizing them into groups and classes. Okay, when we analyze people, things, or ideas, we can categorize them into groups and classes. For example, let's take a case of our EMA college. We can say that our college has different kind of courses offered. We have a science, commerce and management, and arts. So commerce and management comprises of BCom Corporation, BCom CA, and BBA plus MCom. And science comprises of computer science, microbiology, biotechnology, biochemistry, and MSc in microbiology. And arts comprises of vegetation studies, economics, English, MA economics, MA history, and MA English. So we can understand the structure of our college or the courses offered in our college by classifying them into three broader categories such as science, arts, commerce, and management, and then further dividing them into smaller units. So this is how classification and division method works. So classification would enable you to approach a subject in a more satisfactory manner. Through classification, it becomes more understandable. Okay. For example, courses offered in a college. Then Francis Bacon's classification of books. Francis Bacon is a famous essayist who lived in the 15th century, 15th or 16th century, and he had actually divided books into different categories. A detailed analysis of that is given in the textbook. Okay, some books are to be chewed, some books are to be swallowed, etc., etc. So you can just read out that particular essay by Bacon given in the textbook. Okay, and general guidelines or general things you need to keep in mind while writing, while attempting classification and division writing are: items to be classified should share some common features. Okay, for example, organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry, like that. Okay, then decide the criterion or scheme of classification. For example, if you are talking about computer, you need to keep in mind the type of computer, company, processor capacity, motherboard, battery life, etc. Then examples and explanations are recommended. In order to give more detailed and understandable nature, you can include examples and explanation for examples. Then transitional phrases like the first type, the first kind, the first class, etc. Similarly, the second type, the second kind, the second class, etc. are used in this particular kind of writing. So these are all about the unit 4 of the academic writing. So you need to refer points to remember section given at the end of the unit for more comprehensive and quick revision. So these are all about this particular chapter. So the 3 videos we have shared on this topic should be watched carefully by keeping your textbooks near to you while watching these video lectures, and constantly refer the textbooks if you come across any doubts in the points explained in the video presentation. Thank you all.